So I thought it would be useful to just say a little bit about what phenomenology is or is not. And I thought it'd be useful also to say something about how that is quite a complicated question, because it depends who you ask, and the answer will be different from different points of view. So I can give you an answer, but the answer I can give you is an answer that comes from a very particular perspective, which is a really phenomenological kind of a thing. My perspective is that I'm a psychological researcher that use qualitative methods, that those qualitative methods evolved in the context of European and particularly UK psychology after the discursive turn. So in the latter part of the 20th century and the early part of the 21st century. So that's a kind of unique moment that has got a unique perspective on what phenomenology is, or what it might be for, or why we might be interested in it. I would say that most people who will give you a really, really strong and didactic answer to what phenomenology is are the kind of answer that says this is the only answer that's possible, are people who are struggling to understand other perspectives on this, or people who are maybe trying to defend territory in all kind of complicated ways. So you have to sort of judge the answers that you find to this question. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say that phenomenology is firstly a body of philosophical work, and that it involves a kind of to and fro conversation between a bunch of philosophers who are concerned with understanding what it means to be human and how we come to know what we know as humans about our relationship to the world, about our experiences, about the quality of our experiences, about our senses, about our subjective existence, about consciousness. So big fundamental questions about the how and the what of human experiencing. And one of the other things that they are engaged in quite frequently and vigorously is arguing about what phenomenology is. So there isn't a consistent, unchallenged definition of phenomenology within the field of phenomenology, because everybody working in that field has got slightly different views on how it should be done or what it's possible to argue and so on. And that's true of lots of philosophy. So there's always a kind of moving target. I think what's interesting for us as health researchers, or as psychologists, or as qualitative researchers, is that phenomenology as a field, as a series of conversations, of agreements and disagreements, it provides us with a range of different ways of thinking about subjectivity, experience, perception, embodiment, these really tough, interesting, important concepts. And so it's giving us a vocabulary, it's giving us a way of conceptualizing and theorizing how to think about those. I think my daughter is making a YouTube video downstairs. She's doing some terrible singing. I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can't hear it, but it's definitely interfering with my train of thought. So the thing about phenomenology is it's not a unified thing. It's a way of thinking about subjectivity, experience, perception, embodiment, and it's giving us a vocabulary and a toolkit of concepts for expanding on those ideas. So it's a really useful resource for us as researchers. Now, if you ask somebody else, they might give you a different answer. They might say, for example, a North American qualitative researcher might say that what you get is a methodology. And actually the way that phenomenology has influenced qualitative work in the UK is not directly methodological, it's more about a way of thinking. But certain approaches to qualitative research informed by phenomenology with their origins in the US have treated phenomenology as a kind of methodological template. You know, these are the steps that you go through in order to do the work. And so there are differences of opinion there about what phenomenological research might look like. And of course, the whole point of phenomenology is that understanding the thing as it appears to us is an act of imagination. There's a kind of effort to understand a point of view, a perspective there, and that's a challenge, and there are different things you can do in order to mount that challenge. So if we're doing research that's interested in experience, or the meaning of experience, or the meaning of life, if you like, or the way that people relate to the world, or how they come to know what they know about their experience, then phenomenology is a useful resource. But the way that we use it in our research and how it might shape our research, that is going to vary.